So today we'll talk about Python identifiers and keywords. Okay, so maybe just note it down. What are Python identifier? A name in Python program is called as identifier. So it could be a variable name, class name, method name, anything. So anything, any name in Python is called as identifier. Please note down. Okay, so we'll discuss all these things, what it is and all. Okay, maybe just note down. Yeah, note down rules to create identifier. So small letters, capital letters, numbers, and only allowed special characters underscore. Okay, so allowed characters to create any identifier is small letters, capital letters, numbers, and only allowed special character is underscore. So identifier in the sense in other programming languages, what we call it as variables. So how to create a variable? Okay, so in Python, generally we should call it as identifier, not variable. But as we are habituated to call in other way, another other programming languages as variables, right? So sometimes we will also call it as variables, but we should call it as identifier. So why I need to call it as identifier, we'll discuss. Okay, so this is easy things to remember, right? So small letters, capital letters, and numbers, and only allowed special characters underscore symbol only. Let me show you. So this is Python interpreter. Tomorrow we'll see how to install Python and how to use this interpreter and all. Okay. So for now, just see. So okay. So when I'm using a variable, something like this, a equal to 10. So it is following our rules, right? So and what are other special other things? Small letters to capital letters, right? Something like this, right? Small a is different from capital A. Python is case sensitive. Any other programming languages also, all other programming languages also case sensitive, right? So what is the only allowed special character? A underscore something like this. This is also valid. This is also a proper identifier. And if you try to use any other special character, right? So this is not allowed. This is not allowed because only allowed special character is underscore in order to create a identifier, right? And also numbers also allowed, right? Something like this, right? So a1 equal to 20. So because small letters, capital letters, and numbers, and only allowed special character is underscore in order to create any identifier. Done, noted down. This is easy to remember, right? Nothing is there here. Right? Next. there are another rules, some more rules and recommendations. Even though allowed, digits are allowed in the identifier, but it should not start with a digit. Python identifiers are case sensitive, and there is no length limit to create any identifiers. And keywords cannot be used as identifiers, of course. And last one is not rule, it's just a recommendation. Note down. If once you are noted down, just please ping here, ping in the chat box so that I can move forward. Done? Noted? Please respond. Done, noted down. Navya, Satish, and Shraddha. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Done, Sandeep.
Yeah, good. Okay. So, so even though numbers are allowed in our in our variables, but a digit should not start. Let's see. See. So this is A1 is properly it is allowed, but same thing. If we should not start any identifier with a digit, it will throw you error. And at the same time, small a is different from capital A because Python is case sensitive. If you see A is 10 and capital A is 20. And there is no length limit to create this identifier, so we can create any length, so there is no length limit. Like this we can take any bigger name, but even though it is allowed, we should not use this much of bigger lengthy identifier names, so because of readability, right? So our identifier name or variable name should convey what it is doing, right? In simple, it should not take that much of length even though it is allowed, right? So for readability purpose, so the Python advantage itself is readability, simple, easy and readable, right? So we should not create this much of bigger length identifiers, right? What is the next rule? There is no length limit, and keywords cannot be used as identifier. So keywords, what and all are they, we will see. Say for example, we have a keyword called if. Okay, so we should not use keywords as identifiers. Correct. We have some other keyword called def. This is also not allowed. Keywords cannot be used as identifiers. And last last point is avoid single letter characters such as O, I, and L. This is not a rule. This is just a recommendation. So why to avoid these three letters? Because see, most of most of the times you might be confused, right? So sometimes whenever you are logging in, nowadays every site is asking for enter captcha. So most of the times we get confused whether it is O or 0, it is I or 1, or L or capital I, right? So just to avoid such things, try to avoid single letter characters such as O, I, and L. Say if you see here, this is in this interpreter it is properly giving now. So when we are writing Python program in the IDLE in any other this thing, right? At that time you may face problem, right? So try to avoid zero. This is not zero, it's OIL, right? So these are the rules and recommendations to create Python identifier. So any for any programming language, right? Identifiers, keyword, variables are basic fundamental blocks, basic building blocks for any programming language, right? Next, see, in what and all ways we can assign variables. We can assign variables. So note down, Python variable does not need any explicit declaration to reserve a space. It will happen automatically. When I say I equal to 10, it is integer assignment. F equal to 10.45, it is float assignment. Last one is string assignment, right? Because Python is dynamically typed programming language, right? Everyone remember what is dynamically typed programming language? I think some last week we discussed, is it? In second class. Now, obviously, do you remember what is dynamically typed and statically typed? Can you hear me, Navya? What about others? Satish and Shraddha? Yeah, okay, good. Everyone remember? Dynamically typed, statically typed. Python is dynamically typed and interpreted programming language. So in other languages, like we have seen example with C, right? By comparing C programming and Python program. So if you want to assign some integer, how we need to declare? Int I equal to 10, float f equal to 10.45. Like that we need to define. But whereas in Python, Python is dynamically typed programming language. Maybe let us see once again. So when I'm saying I equal to 10, so what is the type? So here we are, as a programmer, we are not conveying explicitly what is the type of variable. Python itself will compute it, right? So based on whatever the data we have given. So now if we ask what is the type of I, it is integer. So if we take float value, if we ask what is the type of F, it is float, because it is dynamically typed programming language, right? So now if we ask what is the type of S, it is of type string. So I was saying, right? So these are the 2 points to be remembered. Python is dynamically typed and interpreted programming language. So it makes programmers' life very, very simple. No need to explicitly define what is the type of variable, right? Next. So this is also allowed in Python, multiple assignments. Note down. So this thing generally we should not use because of readability, but these things we need to remember whenever we are writing any written test or any certifications. So at that time these kind of questions we may see. So first line is when we want to assign same value to multiple variables. Same value to multiple variables. A equal to B equal to C equal to 10. So that means all A, B and C will contain 10. And second syntax is if you want to assign multiple variables with different values, then we go for the second syntax. So in second syntax case, A will contain 10, F will contain 10.45, S will contain Python string. Note down please. So even though it is allowed, never try to use this thing because of readability purpose. But we should know it because if you are planning for any certifications, right, in those exams you can see these kind of questions. Yeah, let's see. Some A equal to B equal to C equal to D equal to something like this. Oh, sorry, this is A. This is a typo. Right now, if you see, A is 45, B is 45, C is 45, and D also 45. Now, if you want to assign multiple values to multiple variables, so what is the syntax we need to follow? Comma separated. So we need to follow by comma separated. A comma B comma C equals to 10 comma 20 comma 30, something like this. Now A, B, C three contain different variables. It will assign in the same order whatever we gave. B and C will be 30. So this is how we define multiple assignments. Multiple assignments. So it is just to know about this, but just remember these things. But try to avoid when you are programming. Okay, for readability purpose. Next. So even though special character is allowed, even though special character is allowed, so whenever we are using special character or whenever we are starting our variable name with a special character which is underscore, it conveys some special meaning. It conveys some special meaning. So see, just normalize a normal variable. If we are starting our variable with single underscore, we call it as protected variable. If we are starting our variable with two underscores, we call it as private variable. And starts with two underscores and end with two underscores, we call it as magic variable. Even though allowed special character which is underscore is allowed in our variable names, if we are starting our variable name with underscore, it carries some special meaning. So about these three things we will be discussing in advanced Python when we are talking about object oriented programming. So for now, just remember, don't start your variable name with underscore. It is not error, but if you are starting your variable name with underscore means it carries some special meaning. Underscore can be used in between of your identifier. Don't start your identifier name with underscore because it carries some special meaning. So all these are important when you are writing for, when you are planning for any certification exam. So maybe if you are a fresher or so, so in the interviewer may ask, so by defining underscore a equal to some 10, so it is perfectly valid, but it carries some special meaning. So we should not create simply any variable with by starting underscore. Got it, everyone? Following?
Yes, sir.
What do people? Navya, Satish, and Shraddha, you people are attending from day one, right? Last week you people are active, but still you feel sleepy or what? Satish, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir, I can hear you. This is my first class, sir.
Oh, then who attended last time? Some other Satish. Okay, fine. So what is your background, Satish?
Sir, I'm from BTech, sir, from mechanical engineering.
Oh, mechanical engineer. What you are doing now?
I completed my graduation, sir.
Yeah, no.
19 passed out.
Okay. So I was
I'm,
asking you, are you working or?
no, sir. Actually, I'm looking forward to change my stream.
Mm-hmm.
So that I want to shift my career to IT field, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you don't have any programming sorry, background, is it?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, fine. No need to worry. So to learn Python, no need to have any programming knowledge. Anyone
Okay,
can learn. Okay. Yeah.
okay, sir.
Yes. And Jayendra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. What is your background, Jayendra?
Yeah, I'm from BTech CSU. I don't have any program knowledge till now.
Okay. Are you working or?
Yeah, I'm working.
What is your work profile?
So I'm working as a system administrator.
System administrator.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So CSE means at least in education when you are doing
Yeah,
education.
I have aware
Correct.
about the programming, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Not hands-on.
yes.
Yes. Okay. Fine. No problem at all. So just remember these things. So maybe let us try to create and see it is not, we can perfectly create by starting our variable with underscore, but we should not create because it carries some special meaning. And next, so these are the list of keywords. So we have some 33 keywords. Quickly note down these 33 keywords. So we will be discussing about these 33 keywords every day. All keywords we will be completing once we complete our complete Python, core Python and advanced Python. So if we by end of the course only we are going to cover all these 33 keywords. So right now we are not going to discuss any of these keywords, right? So if you see, but what you need to remember is, so in the first line, true, false, none, true, false, none. So only these three keywords will start with capital letter. Rest all the keywords will start with small letter only. Only this thing we need to remember. So true, false, we call it as Boolean types, and none, true, false, none. Apart from these three, every other special character, sorry, all other keywords will start with small letter only. Python is case sensitive, right? So capital letter is different. Capital T is different from small t here. So if you give a small letter TRUE, it will fail. It is not a keyword. True, false, none, and, or, not, is, if, elif, else, while, for, break, continue, return, in, yield, try, except, finally, rise, assert, import, form, as, actually it is from, there is a typo. After import it is from, not form. As, class, def, pass, global, non-local, lambda, del, and last with. Let me please note down. Okay,
Yeah, done, sir.
then okay, right, thanks. So these are the things how to create our variable names. So what we should call it as, we should call it as identifier, not variable. But as we are habituated to call these things are variables, right? So here also we will call it as variable, but actual proper thing to use is identifier, not a variable. And so what are the rules to create identifier? What and all allowed? So small letters, capital letters, 0 to 9 digits, and allowed, only allowed special character is underscore. So even though only allowed special character is underscore, right? We should not start our variable name with underscore because it follows some, it carries some special meaning. Even though digits are allowed in creating identifier, our identifier should not start with a digit. Our identifier should not start with a digit. So there is no length limit to create an identifier, but we should always try to define our variable name, identifier name, as simple as we can, as small as we can. And always we should whenever we are creating any variable name, right? So it should follow proper meaning what that variable is doing, right? So these are the basic things, basic rules and recommendations to create any identifier. Everyone clear about these things? Any
Yes,
questions
sir.
here, right, Navya? Okay, good, fine. So next, okay, so I'll be showing how to download your Python software. So what is the official website for Python software? Python.org. Everyone download your Python software. Tomorrow we will write our first Python program. Okay, so this is python.org is official website for Python. So we discussed in last session, right? Who is maintaining this python.org? There is no owner for Python, so it is community driven, right? So from here you can go to downloads. So if you are using Windows machine, so just click here, Python 3.9.6, which is the latest version. So if you are using any other platform, see, for macOS we need to go here, so latest 3.9.6, download this. So if you are using any other OS, other platforms, see, for AIX, download from here. For IBM, for iOS, for even iPad and mobiles also you can download, right? So 390 OS, some ZOS, RISC OS, Solaris, HPOS, huh? for any other Linux package, right? So for whatever the platform you are using, related to that, you need to download your software. So most of us use Windows, right? So but I recommend Linux to use, VA editor itself to use, right? So just click on this, so it will be downloaded. Very simple to install, and it is also very small in size, right? So just double click on this. I think everyone know how to install any software, right? Just double click. Maybe you can do it now if you are logged in with laptop or any PC, right? So okay, now because I already have already installed Python, right? Just click on this. I already have some latest lowest version, so that's why it was asking for upgrade. If you're on laptop, you can browse python.org. It may take some, it will not take much time, but some 1 to 2 minutes it will take. Yeah, meanwhile it's download, let us browse other things. Okay, so so Python is open source and freeware, we discussed, right? So everyone remember what is open source and freeware? Yes, what is freeware? Shraddha and Navya, you both are there, I think. You guys remember? Any other? Freeware means no need to pay anything to anyone. And whereas open source means even the source code of Python is also available. We can download the source code also. See here, we have something called source code. So from here, so this is the source code for 3.9.6 latest version. So what is the advantage if you have source code also? So you can download source code and you can customize your own Python. So if you want to add some features, you can add to it because the source code is already available. If you don't want some of the features, delete and customize your own Python. We can add our features or we can delete some of the features and we can customize our Python version. That is what we call it as open source. And Python is well documented. Well documented. So for each and everything, a clear documentation is available. See, this is Python tutorial. What is new in Python? What is there? What is added in Python 3.9? Right? Like this, for each and everything, Python is properly documented, well documented. So whatever the notes you are seeing in any other website, right? So everything was copied from here. You can go to any of other versions also. See 3.8. So these are the features, right? So what's new in 3.8? Tutorial starts from here, right? Everything is discussed. Everything is there. The list, what is strings, what is list, what is numbers, right? So you can see here it is properly documented, well documented. And if you have patience, you can follow this thing only. But in general, no one will read Python documentation because it is in detail. So we will generally browse any other websites only for learning. Okay, but it is well documented. All other tutorials where and all you are seeing, right? There are plenty of tutorials are available for Python in Google in the website. So everything was taken from this documentation only. So Python is well documented. For any kind of questions, you can browse here. Right? Let us see whether it is completed or not. Still taking some time. There is an option called donate also. So as it is freeware, no need to pay anything to anyone. But if you want to contribute it, you can contribute it. We discussed these things, right? Last week. So click on this and you can donate if you want. So most of the companies are donating it actually. See, starts from minimum contribution is starts from $10 to any other amount. So if you want to contribute, you can contribute. Whether every month you want to contribute or only once you want to contribute, right? So like this, from here you can donate money to Python. It is community driven, right? There is no company owns this. You can close all these things. Okay, so docs, complete documentation. So always the latest version will be displayed here. So but if you want to download any other specific version, you can go to this all releases. So latest version is 3.9.6. Download this one only. And see, if you want to download 3.8, 3.7, 3.6 and 2.7, like this. 3.9.6, which was released June 28th. Recently, very recently it was released. And 3.8.11, this is also recently released. Right. Still it is taking time. There is nothing is there to install Python. And once you install Python, there are two things you can observe here. Okay, so if you type Python here, right? So one is Python interpreter, whatever we are using this thing, right? So this is Python interpreter, right? So if you want to check quickly something, right, so you can ask. So this is interactive shell. This is interactive shell. So if you say, if you assign a equal to 10, so what is a? If you ask, it will answer, right? If you ask what is the type of a, it will give you answer, right? And I'll say some 10 plus 20, it will give you answer. So it is interactive shell, Python interactive shell. But it is not at all recommended to use this interactive shell because there are some loopholes are there. So it is not guarantee always it will return proper values. But always, whenever you want to check something, always write your own program. And apart from this, what you can see is Python IDLE. This is also will be getting installed. So this is where we are going to write our programs. Either use Notepad or you can use this Python interpreter also. Sorry, Python IDLE also. IDLE, Integrated Development and Learning Environment. See, so from here we are going to write our programs. Maybe we'll see tomorrow, right? So we will write our first program tomorrow. As we discussed, first some 5-6 sessions will be very short sessions. After that we'll take 1 hour, minimum 1 hour. Okay, so I'll stop here today. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Yes, now we are Satish and Shraddha.
Hello, sir. Is this first class, sir?
No, this is not first class, Satish. So already some, I think this
How
is
many?
fourth session.
Both sessions, sir. Okay.
Okay, you can find the recordings of previous sessions. So before coming to tomorrow's session, maybe better if you go through the recordings.
Okay, fine, sir.
If you have any question, definitely we can discuss in the class. Okay, any other?
No, sir. I mean, so far so good. Even I mean, when you asked to install, I installed this Python version.
Great.
This in the same way, and yeah, I mean, at Python 3.964 bit, that window is loading, and I even tried that exercise that 10 plus. I mean,
Okay,
adding of
good.
two numbers.
Yes. Yeah, good. So try to
So,
install
sir,
everyone.
one
Yes.
yeah. So, sir, one doubt, I mean, definitely you will be covering it, but just asking, I mean, if we want to save our program or our work, so is it something we have to save it in a notepad and all, and then we can import our
Correct.
Python programming in this interpreter?
Not in this interpreter or anything. So that's what I'm saying. So tomorrow we'll write our first program. Tomorrow I'll be showing that.
Okay. Fine. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
So tomorrow we'll write our first program. And so even though there are multiple IDLEs are present in the market, but let us practice with Notepad only so that we'll do more mistakes. So if you do more mistakes, you will learn more. All right. So tomorrow we'll write our first program in Notepad itself. Okay. So if no questions, that's all for
Okay,
today.
sir.
Right? Yeah. Now we are still following.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Fine then. Bye. We'll meet tomorrow.